Yo, what up?
Yo, BTV Sports is in the building. What it is, everybody, is Jason Enrique along with
Mr. Yahtzee himself. You go, boy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. What's going on, Ugo? It's been a week now. Yes,
It's been a week.
about a week ago.
Yankees got worse.
Oh yeah.
Mets are still the Mets. Another episode of Hard Knocks. Shout out to Lee Schreiber.
The voice of God.
Yes, sir. A week closer to real football. It's fake football now. The preseason is fake football.
As Don LaGreca, the great Don LaGreca would say, preseason is just taco truck. That's all it is.
Yeah, I'm excited for real football.
Oh,
I've had my fill of a fake football.
Let me say this as a long-suffering Jets fan, I am excited about the season, but I am a Jets fan at the end of the day, so there's a little bit of trauma that I still deal with. Like, I'm hoping that nothing drastic goes. Knocking on wood. I always keep something in the back of my mind because at the end of the day, I am a Jet fan, and we all know how that happens.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie before.
Listen, it is long suffering as it's been to be a Dallas fan, bro. I wouldn't trade with you in a New York minute, dog. I couldn't not go to the playoffs for over a decade, bro. That's just wild for me to even say. I know it's been going on 28 years of us not getting a chip, but not even to get into the tournament. I don't know how you do it, bro. I give you all the props in the world. That is tremendous discipline. I'm going to say that probably every week of this show's existence.
Yeah.
But congrats on sticking with your team. And
Yeah.
you guys should have been in the playoffs last year.
Yes,
You guys should be in the tournament.
We were just a quarterback away
Definitely.
from going to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
You got to give a lot of credit to Joe Douglas because he did happen to draft the offensive rookie and defensive rookie of the year in Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. Shout out to Sauce Gardner. I know
That's my guy.
Yeah, Juice versus Sauce now streaming on all streaming
digital
platforms.
platforms. Sauce, we gotta get you in the official video if we ever shoot one.
Yes, you go, boy.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
but no, I'm very excited. I'm ecstatic about having Aaron Rodgers here in New York and also in the green and white. And what people were saying about Brett Favre when he first came to the Jets back in 2008. Yeah, he was a big name and he was a legendary quarterback, and we got him here in New York for the Jets and everything. But as excited as I was for having him at the time, I knew that this wasn't for the long run. I knew this is probably going to be a 1 year and done and everything. So we were just hoping for the best. But he just didn't want to be here. His desire was to go to Minnesota. I don't know why, but that was his desire. And he just basically thought that this was just a pit stop before he could actually make it to Minnesota. But it's a much different feel with Aaron Rodgers because he actually wanted to be here and he's having a ball. Yeah, he's doing the things that we like to do in New York, going to Broadway shows and catching Taylor Swift and all that stuff. But he's really embraced the fan base. And one of the things that I really appreciate, especially from watching Hard Knocks this year and also back in 2010, and also with the One Jets Drive, which they had their own series on YouTube.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time a Jets quarterback actually made me feel this confident going into the season. Every time I see Aaron Rodgers and he's with the team or he's talking or whatever, I'm like, I could see why we haven't won in so long. We haven't had a leader like this in forever. Sanchez was supposed to be that guy. I knew Gino was never going to be that guy. I thought that there was a chance that Sam Darnold, he could have been like the Eli type where he didn't say much, but he actually spoke with his actions.
Yeah.
And me personally, when we drafted Zach Wilson, I wasn't excited about it. I wasn't against it, but I just didn't know anything about him. But I would see highlights of all these college quarterbacks coming out into the league like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, and he was the one that impressed me the least. So I wasn't all that excited about Zach Wilson, and we saw how that turned out. Although I will give him a little credit. He does look a little bit better in the preseason, but like I said, preseason is Tonka truck. What would happen if you actually did it in a real NFL game? Is he going to show some improvement, or is he going to just revert to the old Zach Wilson that we know and don't like? But I'm really excited about Aaron Rodgers, and I love the weapons that we've been adding, and I think our defense is going to be stacked, but it goes with the same thing that I'm very concerned about, that we've been concerned about for quite some time, and that's the offensive line. Even if there's been reports out there that Aaron Rodgers has actually shown a little frustration that there's no continuity with the offensive line, and that's important because he's not like a Michael Vick type of quarterback. He's a pocket quarterback. Now, he'll get out if he needs to, but if he's going to be constantly running for his life, especially as a 40-year-old quarterback, that's not what you want.
Yeah, there's a reason why you guys are trying to trade for Bakhtiari. That makes sense. And why, I think your offensive line he's used to stability there. Just he played for the Packers his whole career. He knew coming into the year that he was going to always have Devontae Adams, he was going to have Bakhtiari, or he was going to have Bulaga, or Lindsley before he left the free agency. He always had the same guys and he's going to be a first Hall of Famer for that reason.
For sure.
So
For sure.
as much as people want to say that in Green Bay, they didn't really give him anything. Like part of that, you can say that from the receiver standpoint, but you still had Devontae Adams.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And before that, you had Greg Jennings and Donald Driver and
Jordy Nelson. That's what I was thinking.
And Jermichael Finley. Like, he's had some weapons over the years. I'm not really. And Randall Cobb in his prime was pretty good as a pretty good slot receiver. So I think you guys have done a great job of just giving him whatever he wanted. And he brought over Lazard, he brought over Cobb, Dalvin Cook signs. Yep. You already had a playoff caliber defense. Yes. You already had playoff caliber weapons on both sides. Again, the offensive rookie of the year, the offensive defensive year, both on the same team. Again, that's team building at its finest. So I think you guys have more than enough, but I'm with you. I think the offensive line is an area that you guys definitely have to tighten up, because your division is very physical with the Patriots and with the Dolphins and with the Bills, obviously, they're the top dogs. And you guys play the NFC East this year.
Yeah.
And pretty much everybody in that division can get to the quarterback. Even as you can say whatever you want about the Giants, they're slowly building a consistent playoff contender. I have to admit that it pains me to say that, because we play them twice a year. I still, even though we have beaten the brakes off them consistently when Dak has been healthy, I still have PTSD from 2007, us being the top seed, them knocking us out in the divisional round at Texas Stadium when we went to Romo went to Cabo when he wasn't supposed to, because Wade Phillips with Jessica Simpson, because Wade Phillips is an idiot and didn't tell him not to. And then fast forward to 2 years later or 3 years later, winning your last game, Giants knocked us off with Jason Garrett as head coach. We finished 8-8, shocker. One of many. I think we finished 8-8 probably 4 or 5 times with him at the helm.
Is that Mike McCarthy's first coaching year with the Cowboys?
You said Mike McCarthy? You mean Jason Garrett?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. I think, that was. 2000 and, was that 11 or 12? I think it was 11 or 12. One of those 2 years. That was his first full season. He was the interim coach in 2010. And so 2011, my fault. 2011 was his first full year as a head coach, but he just showed his true colors, because the following season they went 8-8, and then the following season they went 8-8. I would have fired him after the second 8-8 season, but the third 8-8 season that we kept him, and you know the rest of the story.
Yeah, you know what? If for some reason it feels very Aaron Boone-ish, or Brian Cashman-ish, I should say.
Yes,
because that the organization loved Jason Garrett, and that was a big reason why he stayed as long as he did. Yeah, he was just a puppet for them. He was a puppet for Jerry Jones.
Again, it was back when, because this is another misnomer. I talk about this all the time with my guy Mongo on the Ugo Boy podcast.
Shout out to Mongo.
Shout out to Mongo. Love you, dog. On Sports Talk. Shout out to Chop Sports too. We got a new episode coming your way, and that was a movie. That was on location crossover episode. But we talk about this all the time. Jerry Jones used to really make football decisions, and the myth is that he still does, and that hasn't been the case for a while now. I want to say probably the last 5 or 6 years, he has fully stepped away from that role. He's taking the credit because he's a narcissist and he needs it. And I get it. I get it. But he has succeeded the reins of player personnel and player build and team building to Will McClay and Stephen Jones.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why the 3 best teams at drafting in the last decade have been the Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
No one has drafted more All-Pros. No one has drafted more Pro Bowlers. No one has drafted the more 100 players in the National Football League than those 3 teams. So what's the difference in those 3 teams? It's the coaching. It's the coaching. So when it was Jerry really calling the shots and making football decisions, he was hiring his guys. He was hiring Wade Phillips because he was friends with Bum Phillips, his dad. He was hiring Jason Garrett because he was friends with Jay Garrett, his dad. You know what I mean? He was hiring Dave Campo, who was a secondary coach for us. And the commonality here, I always explain this to people, no one ever coached another NFL team when they left Dallas. And Jerry hired them. Ever. They were a coordinator, maybe at most an interim head coach with Wade Phillips, I think, with the Texans for a while, but no one was ever hired as an NFL head coach ever again. What does that tell you? That person they hired wasn't really coaching material. They were a coordinator at best. Mike McCarthy is the first adult head coach we have had since Jimmy Johnson. I said
That is true.
since Jimmy Johnson and I'm sorry, and Parcells, those two.
Yes,
Those
yeah,
two.
okay, yeah.
Everyone forgets about Parcells because Parcells was still wrestling with the roster building with Jerry,
Right.
which is a big reason why he didn't get a championship.
And it felt so brief. It was like he was here for a cup of coffee and that's it.
He did a good job of cleaning up all the Dave Campo years, 5-11, 3 straight years when Jerry was fully in charge of football operations. He did a good job of turning it around, helping us get Sean Payton on our staff, helping us pick up Tony Romo as a free agent, drafting DeMarcus Ware. Bill Parcells is a big reason why we didn't, I hate to rag on you guys, why we didn't turn into a longer version of you guys, of the Jets.
Yeah, yeah.
We missed the playoffs, I think, about 3 or 4 years, 3 years in a row. That's the longest. Actually, I believe 4. 3 or 4 is the longest drought I've ever had. And I knew that was coming. Come on, like when you get rid of a Hall of Fame coach and replace him with your drinking buddy from college, Barry Switzer, like we were able to get a Super Bowl out of it in '95, our last one, but
Right.
it was Jimmy Johnson's players, it was Jimmy Johnson's coaching staff, it was Jimmy Johnson's culture. All Barry Switzer was there, he was just there as a supervisor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he still gets the ring, and I still watch the Super Bowl 30 game and post-game trophy presentation during Super Bowl week. That's my little tradition.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a lot of Cowboy fans do that. And a lot of teams do that too. I'm not the only fan of a team that does that. If my team's not in it, and I could really care less who's playing, like I was happy the Eagles lost. And I didn't even watch the game, but I was rooting for them to lose. I'm like, you know what? My team's not in it. Let me just enjoy the last one that I remember. And I do remember the '95 Super Bowl. I have it on the VHS. Yeah.
That's gonna be with you to the death.
Yeah, I'll switch that over to digital when we end the drought, hopefully this year. But knock on wood, our history,
Oh my God.
who knows?
That kind of reminds me of, so there's a good friend of mine, shout out to Jessica out in the Bronx. She gave me, back in 2018, she gave me a Johnny Walker bottle of Johnny Walker Black. And the reason I haven't opened this up and why it's pretty special is because the box that it came in is with pinstripes.
Nice.
So it's a Yankee edition. And I told myself that I'm not opening this until the Yankees win the World Series. I thought I would have opened it by now. This is 2018 that she got it for me. We're in 2023, and this is probably the worst stretch that the Yankees have had in forever. I think I alluded to this earlier to you, Ugo, a while ago, that I think in my entire Yankee fandom, this is the first time, this is uncharted territory for me. This is the first time that I've ever had my baseball team under 500.
Yeah.
Even in the years that we didn't make the playoffs, I don't know what a under 500 record feels like when it comes to the New York Yankees. So this is uncharted territory.
No, I remember talking about this with Mongo and talking about this with Chop. It's the only year I remember this helpless or this, I can't even watch the games. I can't go to the games.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to a Yankee game this season. I can't do it. I can't drop the money, hop on the train, pay the overpriced food. I can't go through the experience of being there at the stadium with them playing at this level because it just feels helpless. I feel like when the game starts, I'll check in on the game in like the first or second inning and they're already down 4-0. It's 4-0 before first pitch or 5-0 before first pitch. Like they're a bad team. Like even 2016, was it 2016 when we sold at the trade deadline?
Yeah. Like we were getting everything that we were going to restart and build through the farm system. And that's when we had the baby bombers and so on and so forth.
Yes. So we had no runs DMC. I went to a game that year, probably a couple of weeks before we sold shop or whatever. And we had this amazing bullpen of Chapman and Betances and Miller. But you look at who was hitting, it was just Teixeira. He was like the last man standing because A-Rod was hurt. Jeter was, I think, gone at that point, or he was older.
I think he was already like on the back nine.
Yeah. Like guys were just, we were paying the price of admission for winning the title in 09 because 09, we did buy it. We just went crazy in free agency. We signed Teixeira, we signed AJ, we traded for Swisher.
Yes.
We really laid it on thick. We had Cano there already. We had Jeter there already. We had A-Rod there already. We had Mo there already. We still had the core. We still had Pettit. We still had our core guys, but it's like
Girardi is the manager.
Girardi was the manager, but we really did, okay, let's just buy. And 7 years later, it's like the bill was due 7 years later. But we at least had the foresight at the deadline, and Cashman had the foresight to be like, even if we get in as a wild card, we're not going to do any damage. let's just cut our losses. Let's trade. They traded everybody that year.
Yeah.
They traded pretty much that entire bullpen. I think Betances is like the only one they didn't trade. Eltron, they traded. They traded everybody. Everybody was there, and then we restocked. And then you look at the run we were on, getting to the ALCS 3 times against the Astros, losing each time.
Right.
One time they cheated though. So, and it's like, it was very disappointing that they didn't do that again this offseason, at this trade deadline. But we had talked about it in a pre-production meeting. You can knock Brian Cashman. I do think he should be fired. I think him and Boone should go.
Absolutely.
But
yes. I'm all for it.
Yeah, all for just clean house. Sign Theo Epstein. He'd be my first top candidate.
Yes.
Sign him. If a guy can win a championship in Boston and Chicago in the same lifetime, open up, give him a blank check, and come on down. But I think that what was like, we were caught between a rock and a hard place because, again, we had talked about it. You couldn't really trade. Rizzo's got $17 million. He's concussed. No one wants him right now.
And nobody wants Stan, especially as that no trade clause.
No trade clause. He's got, for our listeners who don't know, he's got $32 million due to him next year, $32 million due to him again the year after, then 18, and then 18, and then a $10 million buyout if you choose to go that route a couple years down the road.
Right.
No one's taking that on, at least this year. Maybe what I would do, and LeMahieu, again, he's got 3 years left, and he's a shell of himself. I'm wearing his shirt. You guys can't see it, but I'm wearing it because I miss the old Kanye. I miss the old DJ LeMahieu. But my point that I want to get to is, in the offseason, I mentioned this on the last episode, if it doesn't involve signing Shohei Ohtani or trading for Soto and then giving him whatever the hell he wants in a contract, he's probably going to want what Bogart's got, except probably more, something crazy like that, or what Mookie Betts got. Something similar to that, or whatever Shohei Ohtani gets.
Yeah.
If it doesn't involve those two, and going to Stanton and sitting down with him and listen, Giancarlo, we love you. You had some amazing long home runs here, but where do you want to go and where do you not want to go? The Wire. On the boatyard. They have the McNulty moment with them on the boatyard. Like, where do you not want to go? Where do you want to go? And then we'll give you our list of where we don't want you to go,
right,
and where we do want you to go. And then we meet somewhere in the middle, and then we get this trade negotiated. We get as many prospects as we can. They're gonna have to eat a big chunk of that, but he's gotta go.
Yes,
because we are not. His body is not built to simply play the games necessary to win a championship over the life of his contract and at his age. It's just not possible.
No, it's not possible. And we alluded to something earlier before, like, even in the down years with the Yankees, when we didn't make the playoffs or we didn't go deep into the playoffs run, at least there was something that we were able to, like, make up for it. Like, I remember when, Jeter's last game, I mean, we weren't making we weren't going to the playoffs. Baltimore was on, they won the last spot or something.
Yeah.
But we were able to celebrate Jeter's final game, and he had that monstrous game that, what a way to end at Yankee Stadium. That was something to cherish there. Then you had Mo's final season, and then you had a whole bunch of other things that happened. But what's the excuse now? There's no excuses for why this team is bad. And even if it was supposed to go this bad, there's nothing that's going to take the stink off this year. We don't have any Jorge Posadas or Andy Pettis that are retiring. So this is their swan song, whatever.
No.
We got nothing. We were supposed to be in it this year, but I got to tell you, even though the Yankees they seem to always figure it out and they always go into the postseason every year. Yeah. When this season began, there was just something that I didn't feel confident about, especially due to the fact that, all right, yeah, we made it to the ALCS last year, but we got our asses handed to us. I knew that we weren't going to win that series. I did not expect to get a sweep. I thought we would at least take one, and there was no excuses for us this time. The Astros, they were caught cheating back in 2017, but that's not the case now. So what's the excuse? But even when the accusations of the Astros cheating, and that's the reason why they got to the World Series and won it, that still didn't excuse for the Yankees not being able to hit. They had Justin Verlander, they had Garrett Cole, but these were supposed to be the Bronx Bombers, the baby Bombers. They still would have been able to overcome that, and they didn't. There is no excuse this time. Like I said, this is uncharted territory for the fact that we're under 500 for the first time in God knows how long, since 1992 or 1993, I believe. Yeah. Well, Demolition Man came out probably. But anyway, this is uncharted territory, and not only as a fan, but I think it's also uncharted territory for the organization as well. They thought with their arrogance that they're going to get over the hump, they're going to get through this, but it's not. So now they're scrambling. What do we do now? We've never been in this situation before. How do we fix this? And now they're scrambling. They don't know what to do. I think they're just chasing their own tail like a dog at this point. and they can't always rely on the history. I've never seen a sports team that relies on their history and also tries to be progressive and new and savvy at the same time. The Yankees think that they could do that, but it's not working. So they need to stick to one plan and figure it out. Now, what I was alluding to earlier as well is that I didn't feel confident when they re-signed Cashman and Boone to contract extensions. So as much as we want them fired, it's probably going to be a while since they actually do lose their job. But I didn't expect the season to go as bad as it is now. Yeah, it's bad enough that we're under 500. Yeah, it's bad that we're last in the division. Yeah, we're not be able to hit. But you could just tell the feel around this team, like they're just not in it. Wasn't there a couple of games where we were getting killed? The Yankees were getting killed. I don't know. 4-0 or 5-1, and Anthony Rizzo just laughing it up with his teammates, like they're just having another fun. You're just yucking it up. No, George Steinbrenner. I know that there's a lot of Yankee fans out there, especially the old ones or the new ones, that they say like, you got to get rid of the fact. You got to get over the fact that George is no longer with us anymore. But I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not saying that Hal has to do everything that George did, because George didn't do everything correctly. I mean, he got lucky in a lot of.
And he was a bit of a jack off.
Oh yeah, he was. I can't think of a billionaire that's not anyway. But
true.
But the fact of the matter is that if it's not working, then you have to switch it up and stop trying to think that. It's really funny how they're under 500 and they're last in the division, but they still have this toxic superiority feeling of we're still better than everybody else, and even goes with even the little nuances. Would you even, let me ask you this. I know you're a Yankee fan, and so am I. But if you were just an unbiased baseball player, how would you feel that if you wanted to come to an organization, but you didn't want to shave off your facial hair?
I think, especially, listen, this is 2023.
Yeah.
I think you would look at it a bit like upside down. Like, why is that a big deal? Like,
right.
I'm good. Like, you see what's on the back of my baseball card. I'm nice. Whether I have a goatee or a 5 o'clock shadow should be like irrelevant. What
exactly
I do,
my point.
You know what I do. I think with the Yankees in particular, I don't think the facial hair thing. I don't think it's as big of a knock or big of an issue. I think what's the issue is, like you said, the identity and the philosophy. They're like caught between wanting to be like hip with the backward baseball cap, but at the same time you're stuck in neutral. You know what I mean? Like Cashman, it's so like, I want to say when we had Granderson in that era, like after we had won the championship,
yes,
and we're trying to basically get back there, and they were close. We were close. We got to the ALCS a few times during that stretch, but we weren't able to get over the hump. Like toward the end of Girardi's tenure or whatnot. Okay, the philosophy was, all right, we're going to hit for average, but we're just going to just load up with lefties so they can get in that porch or whatever.
Right. And especially at Yankee Stadium.
Especially at Yankee Stadium.
Come on.
And I understood that, and I rocked with it. I'm like, okay, that won us 90. That always got us in the playoffs. It got us 95 to 110 wins every year, and I was cool with it. But we were still missing some key pitchers or some key pieces here and there, and we weren't able to put it together or whatever. I think now, after that era, they're scared of doing that now. They're scared of spending big money aside from Garrett Cole and aside from Judge. They're afraid to do that because they feel like, all right, let's just fall in love and go all or nothing with this analytics thing, not knowing that everybody that is ahead of them now, teams that they traditionally beat up on, they're just doing what the Yankees used to do. They're getting a bunch of, we mentioned it, they're getting about 4 or 5 homegrown guys that they build up their version of the baby bombers, and then they're going to trade and sign top of the line free agents to supplement the spots that they don't have. All the Yankees did for the entire dynasty, and especially in 2009. 2009, we already had a core. We still had our core four. We still had Mo, Pettit, Posada, and Jeter. We still had that. What are we missing? We already have A-Rod. If he gets his mind, he'll be the A-Rod that we believe he is. And he did. In 09, he was brilliant. They don't win the championship without him.
No.
But they go out and get Teixeira, and they get CeCe, and they get AJ, and they trade for Swisher. They get all the pieces that they needed. They went over 100 games, and they got to the championship, and they took care of business. Right. I think right now, it's like an identity crisis. They're like caught in between, but we're the Yankees. So we're the Yankees. And you know what I'm saying? But analytics though, like we have to marry analytics, and we're going to get guys that just Billy Baseball. They want to be Brad Pitt. Brian Cashman wants to be Brad Pitt so bad. Like I watched Moneyball for the first time during COVID. I was like, great movie. But I was like, I understand why Oakland had to do that. Christ, they're getting ready to to get sold and bought to friggin' Vegas. They're about to leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get why, but they're the Yankees. We don't have to do that. We can do a version of Moneyball. Okay, you want to get a couple of like contact hitters just so it's not all or nothing home run. Sign me up for that. I begged for that for years because I hated the fact that's a big reason why the drought has gone on, because for years we've been home run or nothing.
Yeah.
And in the playoffs, that does not work.
No, it does not.
You have to have average guys. You have to get guys that can get on base, that can make pitchers work. If we had 3 or 4 Brett Gardners instead of just one, we don't want at least 2 more championships.
I agree.
And you know it. If we never got rid of Johnny Damon was the glue. The guy hit lefty. You couldn't strike him out. He swung at the worst pitches, had one of the worst stances that I've ever seen. But he hit.
Kevin Euclid would like to say, "Hold my beer."
He's up there. He's up there. But he hit over 300. He found that porch all the time, even when he was with Boston, and he just made pitchers work. I'm going to foul, and either going to walk me or base it right up the middle. We don't have a guy like that anymore, aside from IKF.
He's the best player right now, not named Aaron Judge.
Exactly. IKF is the only player of the analytics darlings that, and I give it Bader too, because Bader is he's a great outfielder, but he's an average to above average hitter. I'm very interested. It's not even that I'm interested. I know what we're going to look like next year. Like, spoiler.
Isn't that the most depressing part? That we've seen this movie before.
We've seen this. They're going to run. They're going to do.
This is like me watching Demolition Man again last night,
bro. Yo, they're going to like for our listeners. Heads up. They're going to run back. They're going to run it back with LeMahieu, with Stanton, with Rizzo. Of course, Judge is there. Yeah. But all those aging guys, they're going to be back. The only difference, obviously, Hicks is gone. They dropped the dead weight. Hicks is gone. But
he's killing it for Baltimore now.
He's killing it, but he's hurt now.
Because
that's what he does. He gets hurt.
Yes, he does.
And strikes out. Yeah. And so Donaldson and Hicks are gone, but they should have never been in the opening day lineup. They should have got rid of them in the offseason, dropped the dead weight, call up the Young Bucks, had them starting day one in the outfield and infield, starting day one in the lineup. Peraza or freaking Martian, some of these untouchable guys and whatnot, bring them up to the show. Let them get their feet wet now, because the longer you wait and you think that these aging guys are going to get better with age, that's not how it works in pro sports.
Right. And it also is different when you're in a big market team as well, because the 2 examples that I can think of right now, number one, Sonny Gray. The analytics say that he would have been a perfect fit for the Yankees, but he couldn't handle the stress of New York. And now look at him in a small market team, and he's actually thriving there. And then you have Joey Gallo, who was always a terrible player, but they always thought that because of the numbers and the analytics, and we follow it chapter and verse, he's actually going to be perfect for what we need to do. We're not asking him to be a savior. We're not asking him to do this and that. He's just going to be fitting the system, but what we need. And it obviously didn't work out, because I think a big part of it was the fact that he couldn't handle the stress of New York. So that has to come into account. And this is where it bothers me sometimes about the Yankees. Like, sometimes it's not just arrogance, it's also ignorance. Like, these are things that you should know. If your fan base knows it very well, then how come you don't? Especially since you guys have a bigger payroll than I do. I know that Brian Cashman makes a hell of a lot more money than I do, but I feel in some cases that I can do a better job than he does. I genuinely feel that. Now, I'm not saying I'm not advocating for his job. I don't know if I want that kind of stress, but I know that if you put me in a room with him, I can figure out to tweak his plan, if he has a plan after all, to see what could happen. But it's also just the tone deafness, it's arrogance, it's ignorance. And I got to say this, and I take no pleasure, but this is the first time in a long time that I've been ashamed to be a Yankee fan.
Yeah, it's rough now, man. It's rough. Again, I love...
and I know that we're spoiled because we've done a lot of winning and we have more championships than anybody else and everything. But come on, we've seen this before. It's one thing if we know that we're going to get over the hump and everything, but we've seen this happen before. And I'm just like you. I do not feel confident in the next season.
When you're a sports fan, again, when you're an informed sports fan, there's just levels to this. There's the delusional ones that say they can be 10 games under 500 at the trade deadline. Oh, we're going to go on a run.
The Miami Dolphins are going to win the championship this year. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. There's the delusional, and there's the informed ones that are great to talk to, that get it, that they study and watch, and they don't just follow their team that they love and live and die with, but they follow around. They just are a fan of the game or whatnot. But when you go into a year and you're a fan of a team and your team's not good, and you know that you're not going to the playoffs, and that you're just watching just to watch, or you just have it on in the background and you're doing something or whatnot, That's a tough spot to be in, man.
It feels very cowboyish. I'm sorry to say, but
Those 5-11 seasons, bro. That was most of my That was like pretty much entire middle school for me. I'd be watching us because we played the Giants twice a year. So those games. This is before DirecTV. So but still, as the Cowboys, we were guaranteed a lot of national games, but we had a lot of 1 o'clock games. The 1 o'clock windows is for the Jags. They're like for insert, like the Browns, like insert team that hasn't won in a trillion years. They are the Titans. You get that 1 o'clock window, bro, and it's rough. The only year I can remember, 2015, when Romo got hurt. And again, this is coming off of 2014 when Dez caught the ball in Green Bay, the Dez catch.
Okay, Skip Bayless.
Exactly. I thought we had a good shot. I thought we had a really good shot too. We went 12-4 the year before. We won a playoff game the year before. I think Romo's first playoff win too. No, sorry, second playoff win. And I was like, all right, we got a shot. We got a shot. Romo breaks his collarbone early. Dez broke his foot. And we really began to see what really Jason Garrett is made of. Because again, if you're a good coach, I'm not saying you go on a crazy run and win the Super Bowl. That's like a once in a lifetime fluke thing. Like what happened with the Eagles in 2017.
Yeah.
Beyond fluky. Because you look at Nick Foles. Exactly. You look at Nick Foles and you look at Doug Peterson after that. Tell me they didn't just catch lightning in a bottle. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
But
at the perfect time too.
Perfect time. Yes. Perfect time. What did Jason Garrett do in 2015? After going 12-4 and having pretty much the same team, you don't have your quarterback, but you have pretty much everything else in place.
Yes.
We went 4-12 that year. And that was the Jason Garrett I recognize. The guy who went 8-8 with a lot of future Hall of Famers in their prime. Like DeMarcus Ware was still in his prime when he got with Jason Garrett. Zach Martin was a rookie. Travis Frederick was younger. You had a loaded offensive line. You still had Des Bryant. You still had Jason Witten. You still had a ton of really good to great players. And then you won 24 games your first 3 years and you lost 24 games. That was the guy right there. And 2015, that whole season, I think we had like a losing streak at one point of 6 or 7 straight games, bro. We didn't win a game for 2 months. And I'm just like, yo, we couldn't win 1 or 2 of these. Plus the NFC East was awful that year. I think those years. Because like that was just, coaching is so important. Managing is so important. They get too much blame and they don't get nearly enough credit. Same with quarterback. With quarterbacking. And you guys haven't had a legit coach, my opinion, since Parcells. That's just me. And
not even Rex.
No, because I don't think Rex won enough in the playoffs. I know he got you guys he went back-to-back AFC championship games,
championships,
right? Yeah. Okay, tell me what he did after that. And tell me what he did in Buffalo.
Well, he didn't.
I'll just keep going.
He hasn't made the playoffs since after those AFC back.
Exactly. So that says a lot. That says a lot. So again, the Yankees need to get it right with this next manager because somebody's gonna go. All right. I don't care how they spin it. At this point, I don't even, if it is an either or, I don't even care. I just need someone to go to foster some level of change because I'm already chalked up next year. Because if you're not going to get off the Stanton contract, and you're not going to get off the LeMahieu contract, and you're not going to get off the Rizzo contract, if you're going to stay on that and that's still going to be your core, I've already reserved that next year, they'll win 85 to 90 games, maybe, get the third wild card, and then lose to probably Baltimore in the first wild card game. I've already reserved that ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I don't need to trick myself or fool myself into thinking something otherwise.
I don't know if this is actually any truth to it. I just heard it's a rumor and everything, but I don't know how you would feel about it. There was a rumor that I saw on the internet this morning, I believe it was, that there's some rumors circulating around baseball right now that if Brian Cashman were to get fired this year or next year, then the next person that would come up is Derek Jeter. I don't know how to feel about that.
I don't think that happens.
I don't think it happens either. But if there's any, but let's play devil's advocate for a second. If that were to be the case, I mean, to me, the first thing that comes to mind is you're just trying to appease the fan base because you're bringing a legendary Yankee into the fold again. But what is his managerial experience? He doesn't have any managerial experience. I don't know how his connections are with other GMs in the league. And we already saw the mess that he made as the owner for the Miami Marlins. And is that really what you want? I mean, dude, like, Again, it's the arrogance and the ignorance. I'm with you. I'm in lockstep now. I think it's a long shot, but I'm in lockstep with you. If I'm Hal Steinbrenner, Theo Epstein, blank check. What do you want?
What do you want?
Yes.
What do you want? Because to sign Jeter would be a colossal mistake. Like, I don't want somebody that
I
has
want it,
yeah.
yeah. I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be like Phil Jackson, where Phil Jackson is one of the greatest coaches of all time, but as the president of basketball operations, it was a train.
That never works. Aaron Boone, who are hitting coaches right now. It's Sean Casey.
Yeah, yep.
He's just in a tie and on a TV set a couple months ago. That's who your hitting coach is. So you fire your second hitting coach in 2 years.
Yep.
By the way, you hired both of them. So what does that say? And then you hire the drinking buddy of the manager, who Aaron Boone managed before he came to the Yankees. I'll wait.
No,
I'll wait. I'll wait.
MLB Network, if I'm not mistaken. I mean,
we have this love affair with MLB and ESPN guys. Oh, they talk about it, so they got to be good at it. Like, the Cowboys used to do the same thing. You know how many baseball players we had at quarterback?
Matter of fact, I don't know if you knew this, but going back to the Jets for a second, when the Jets hired Adam Gase and then they fired Mike McCann a couple of months afterwards, and they were obviously in the market for a new GM before they got Joe Douglas. You know who was the first person that was reported to be interviewed for the GM position? Daniel Jeremiah.
See, right there, right there. Freaking there. At least with Daniel Jeremiah, I think he was at least in a front office role, but mostly a beat writer.
Mostly a beat writer. Yeah. What's next? You get if Joe Douglas doesn't work out, you're gonna get Brian Costello. Oh my God.
How did Mike Mayock work out for the Raiders? I'll give you. I'll give spoiler.
You
it didn't.
Yeah,
it didn't.
I'll give you John Lynch. That seems to work out for a little bit.
It has. Yeah. It has, because at least with John Lynch, he understands how to draft.
Yes.
Now, mind you, Trey Lance is on his ledger right now.
Oh yeah,
and that's looking like an historic miss. But they drafted so well, people aren't talking about it enough.
Yeah,
now,
I mean, Brock Purdy, look.
Yeah, right. Now, Brock Purdy, again, switching to base football real quick.
Yes.
We'll see about the Brock Purdy thing, because I got to see it again. I got to see it again. I believe that a Tom Brady is going to come around, or an undrafted guy like a Romo is going to come around every so often, but I got to see it a couple years before I'm like, all right, he's legit.
Yeah.
He's legit.
I think the jury's still out on Brock Purdy. I mean, I got to give him credit. Had a great season and everything.
He did.
But
loaded roster, by the way.
Yes.
That won 11 straight games
with the number one defense in the entire league.
Historically great. Not just, you said number one. Let's give them. They get their flowers.
Yes.
Although they got punished in the playoffs by the Eagles. Historically good defense.
Yeah. Mark Sanchez, 2010. Anybody?
Just saying. Just saying, bro. And go to that Cowboy 49er game, last year's playoff game or whatnot. Purdy didn't do anything in that game.
No, I think that was just a case of bad coaching again by Mike McCarthy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, bad coaching and bad quarterback play, because Dak was not good that night.
He was not. I don't even think he was 100% that game.
No, and again, team building.
Yes.
Let's go back to team building. Going into last season, we set up that. I said we. The front office set up that to fail, because you think about it, we traded away Amari Cooper, and then who do you replace him with? James Washington?
Who?
Exactly. Who else?
For a second, I thought you said John Washington, like Denzel's son.
Yeah, John David Washington from
Ballers.
From Ballers. Ballers was your number 2 receiver.
Watch, the next GM of the Dolphins is going to be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh my God. You know, he got interviewed. Had to have been interviewed. But again, team building, that's the name of this episode. That's the name of it. Is team building, because we did the complete opposite of what we did last offseason. We were like, all right, who else can we put to help get open for our quarterback? All right, Brandon Cooks, who gets 1,000 yards in his sleep.
Yeah, such an underrated player, man. I don't think he gets the flowers that he deserves.
Everywhere this guy's gone, with bad quarterbacks, with bad coaching, with bad teams,
bad culture,
just bad everything.
Houston
bad
Texans, anybody?
Pencil him in for 1,000 yards every single year. We get him. All right. People are throwing away from Diggs. We need somebody who can play on the opposite of Diggs. How about a guy who was Super Bowl champion, All-Pro, Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore? Can I interest you in that? And for people that say he's washed, he was still a top 5 corner last year on the rating standpoint. So he's still legit.
Yeah.
He's playing opposite now. The front office, team building. Again, I'm going to keep saying it. They realize, yo, we need more. Because you look at Philly, Tyree Roseman is so good at his job, man. He is so freaking good. He is goals.
I'm surprised that Philly hasn't created a statue for him outside of Lincoln Financial.
It's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming. The fact that they made one for Foles, I still laugh at that.
Like you said, lightning in a bottle.
Exactly. And the bigger irony is Doug Peterson is also in that statue, and they fired him the next year.
Yeah, but what was it again that he just put in Feld?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he put in Sudfeld. He took out Jalen Hurts and put in Sudfeld because he was like, you know what? I think he knew he was getting fired. And it was his Lovie Smith moment.
It was his FU to the organization.
Yeah,
like, nothing. I just won your very first Super Bowl in franchise history. But it's okay.
And you're firing me?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, mate, warm up.
Yeah. with a backup quarterback.
Exactly. No, he did what Lovie Smith did to the Texans.
Yes, he did.
Oh, you're fired? We're winning this. You thought you got number one? No. So,
but I wanted to run something back with you real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Again, shout out to Mongo. I love that dude. He's a good guy.
Love you, buddy.
So you were mentioning earlier, but we didn't really get to dive into this because we wanted to save it for the show. Like me, unfortunately, he's a Jets fan, lifelong Jets fan.
Long suffering.
Long suffering. Gotta say
the pain.
Yeah, you gotta say it all like a Tribe Called Quest. Sorry to steal your line.
It's okay. It's okay.
But you mentioned to me that the New York Jets are on Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah.
He has chosen not to watch it. He's staying away from it like the plague.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to speak to him about this. You know him better than I do. From a Jets fan's curiosity from myself, why is it that he is avoiding Hard?
He doesn't like the spotlight and the extra shine that is Cowboy-esque attached to his team. And I don't blame him. I am a long-suffering Dallas Cowboy fan. I don't really love the national media being on our jockstrap 24/7, 365, 52. I don't really like it. It's actually pretty annoying. You know what I mean? Because what the national media does, they create the hype train. And then they blame two people. They blame the fans for buying into it, and then they blame the team for underperforming. It's like you have a chocolate factory. Let's go Willy Wonka, for instance. It's like you're Willy Wonka, and then the kids get sick from eating your chocolate, and then you blame the kids for eating your chocolate.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's the analogy. That is what national media does year in and year out. And Cowboy fans, that's why I love following this. That's how I met Chop Sports. And that's how I met a lot of influencers on Twitter or X, or whatever the hell you want to call it now. It is.
I refuse to call it X.
It's still Twitter. It'll always be Twitter. Just like Heinz Field to Pittsburgh fans.
Yeah. Or Chase Stadium to Citi Field.
Exactly. Or Old Yankee Stadium, which doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, it's annoying. But I talk to actual informed Cowboy fans that understand what's going on. Videos, they make they make even more spoof videos where they take somebody saying one take and then a week later saying something completely different that their producer told them to say, all Cowboy geared because that's where the ratings are. I get it. They do it for ratings. They do it but it's annoying because even when we're good, they're only good just because of this. Or we'll go on a 2-game winning streak and they'll be like, this is the Cowboys' year. And meanwhile, our fans are like, it's a 2-game winning streak. You know who else is a 2-game winning streak? The Browns won 2 straight games. You gonna talk about them? No, because they don't have as many fans and whatnot.
Right.
It's annoying. So I think that Mongo, I know because he's told me, he is annoyed by the extra attention you guys are getting, but it comes with the dinner because Aaron Rodgers is a polarizing player. He's a polarizing figure. And
in a big market.
In a big market. Exactly. Who's played in a small market his entire career.
Yes.
And for as many people that want to rag on McCarthy and say that he only won because Aaron Rodgers has never been to a Super Bowl. I'll say that again. Forget winning one. He's never been to a Super Bowl since him and McCarthy broke up.
Right.
And he's first ballot Hall of Famer. And I think McCarthy will be a Hall of Famer too. But sometimes you don't know how good you have it until you don't have it anymore. Mm-hmm. And we're living testament to that. Because when Jimmy Johnson left, I told you, we got one more. Haven't been since. Haven't even been to the conference championship since or whatnot. Because Jerry, and he's admitted it too. He has admitted it. He has admitted it that, I screwed it up. I messed it up. I did. I didn't realize.
That's a little humbling moment for Mr. Jerry Jones.
Very tough for him to say that. I guarantee he probably missed some sleep there. But he doesn't, but to fully answer your question and bring it home, I think he doesn't like the extra shine that Rodgers is bringing to your organization right now. But for the 2 years, I think he'll do 2 years. I don't think he'll do 3. I think too much peyote is waiting for him. But I think he'll do 2 years with you guys, 2 cracks at it. If you guys win, you don't. If you guys win, it'd be actually incredible. He'd get the freaking Joe Montana treatment if you guys do win a championship with him, or even if you guys get to a championship. I think is leaps and bounds, because it's hard to win Super Bowls, man. This isn't Madden. This isn't Madden. I think Mahomes might be the only multiple Super Bowl champion we have for a very long time.
Yes.
I'm at the point with 28 years and counting. If Dak gets me 1, and then for the rest of my life, that's it, I'm good with that. I was good if Romo got me 1. And I'm like, he got me the 1. Like, this isn't Madden. You're not winning the Super Bowl every year. And it's hard with the parity and the way the salary cap's structured and the way drafting is, how everybody's good. Like the coaching, every coordinator is good for the most part. Every
Kellen Moore.
Exactly. With a caveat. Everyone's good. Everyone's good at their job for the most part. It's hard to consistently win. And even the Chiefs, they needed to come from behind to win both of those Super Bowls.
Right.
But they have the players and they have the coaching. That's the common denominator for teams that do reach that zenith, that do reach that mountaintop. Because everyone's good in the playoffs.
Right.
You're going against the best of the best. But do you have that extra level to level up to when the chips are down? We haven't had that during this entire drought, and it keeps going back full circle because of the coaching. We haven't had a coach that's, all right, this is a win or go home game. We've had Jason Garrett. And we've had Wade Phillips. This is a winner. Guys, it's a black. This is a big game. All right. And you guys, name me who you've had in this stretch that you can point to and be like, we definitely had the coach. Maybe we didn't have maybe we're missing a couple players here and there, but I don't think you guys have had the coach. That's just me. I personally don't think so.
Maybe besides Parcells, I did Herm Edwards, but that was, it is what it was. He did give us, I think he actually won more playoffs than Rex, if I'm not mistaken.
He won a lot of games. You guys were always in the mix with Herm. That's what I liked about him.
That's what I liked about him.
Yeah,
that's what I liked about him too. But yeah, no, ever since then, I love Rex, but I don't think he was like he's definitely not a Hall of Famer, that's for sure. Then we went to Todd Bowles and we saw how much of a disaster that was. And then I'll never understand for the life of me why we hired Adam Gase. And I love Robert Saleh, but the jury's still on him. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if he's not going to win this year, then he better win next year. That's if he ever gets the opportunity for next year. But there's a lot of pressure on Robert Saleh right now. But going back to the Hard Knocks for a second, I understand where Mongo is coming from, because I am a lifelong suffering Jets fan. I get that. And I don't like the extra attention, but I think what kind of makes it a little bit more digestible, we'll say, is because the fact that we have a lot of young pieces, especially like I mentioned before, we have Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and Jermaine Johnson and a whole bunch of new kids that were drafted last year and the year before. Get them used to this kind of exposure early on so that we could prepare for the long term. If this was one of those years during the Mike McCagney years, the Todd Bowl years, or dare I say Adam Gase years, where we were on Hard Knocks, you would be with a bunch of guys that have already been in the league for a while and they don't know how to handle this kind of spotlight. At least with these young guys, get them used to the spotlight now and get them used to a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' caliber so they can prepare better for the future. So we know that going into further years, and hopefully we sign them to contract extensions.
You will.
Yeah.
You will.
And for the first time in a long time, I know that Quinnen Williams was the first time that we re-signed a first round draft pick since God knows when. I forget when it was.
Yeah.
And
a lot of misses.
And well-deserved to Quinnen Williams. He's a phenomenal player. I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
I guess I feel comfortable. Get them used to this now early so that in the long run, they'll know what needs to be done in order for us to build a sustainable winning franchise. Now, I understand I'm on the same boat as you. Like, if they were to just get one Super Bowl win out of my lifetime, I'll be good with that. But let's not just stop the buck at there. If there's an opportunity where we could be a sustainable franchise going forward, why not? One of the first things that Aaron Rodgers said when he first came to the Jets, and I love this quote, he said, Don LaGreca asked him to come into New York and be able to slay the dragon, this, that, and the third. And Rodgers' response was, I don't know about slaying the dragon. Maybe it's becoming the dragon. Like becoming a big, bad NFL team that people are going to be afraid to face for years at a time. I'll sign that for that any day of the week. But since I've been suffering for a long time, I'll be happy with the Super Bowl win, especially since he said that Super Bowl III trophy is looking lonely. Yeah, get him another buddy. But either way, I see a lot of positivity now. The only way that I feel that this season is going to be a disaster just really falls on health. I think that we have all the pieces in place and everything. The main key for us to have a successful season, whether we go to the Super Bowl or not, is health. That is the biggest question mark, and also the offensive line, what we talked about before. But I think at the end of the day, the number one thing is health. And the Jets have, let's be honest, the Jets have had trouble staying healthy over these last couple of years, especially on the offensive line.
For sure, for sure. Because again, we said it earlier in the show, you guys were a playoff team last year.
Yeah.
You guys should have won a minimum of 9 to 10 games. That would have been more than enough.
We would have been a wild card.
To get
sure,
as a wild card. Now, what you do there is up to debate, but you guys should have been a wild card. Should have been a playoff team last year. I think this year, again, health is everything. But that's for everybody.
Yeah.
That's for every team. But I think with you guys finally figuring out how to draft, that's a big step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because teams that do have sustained success, they nail drafting. Team building. I'm going to keep saying it. Like, they figure that part of the equation out, but they don't stop there. They figure out how to use free agency as a buffer, as an add-on. Because you can still draft well, but if you're not doing diddly in freaking free agency, you're not going to win.
No.
And that's something that we were lacking until this was the first offseason in a while. In a while, man. I can't remember. The last offseason I remember where we really were aggressive and signed, like, not bargain basement guys who were like on their fifth team trying to figure it out. Actual guys that, that's the difference maker.
At Walmart, baby.
We've been bargain shopping for like really the last 6 or 7 years, and it's been really frustrating. Because then we'll lose in the playoffs, or we'll lose a key game because we're still missing the spot that we bargained for. I'm just like, shocking that blew up in our faces.
Yep.
Last time we really went for free agency was, I think, 2012, when we signed Brandon Carr, and we signed something crazy like 10 or 12 free agents. But again, we still weren't drafting really that well. So it's still, and we had an idiot at a head coach and Jason Garrett. So we still went 8-8, all right, on brand. But this season, again, I applaud Steven and I applaud Will McClay. I'm never going to give Jerry credit because he just sits there and just says yes or no.
Yeah.
But I applaud the front office for understanding, all right, the NFC, because really this ties into the NFC. Right now, the NFC is not what the AFC is, but mark my words, in another 2 years, the NFC is going to be the AFC. Because all these young kids that are just learning and figuring out now, they're going to get good, because I already see it. Like, I see Justin Fields is going to be legit. I know at some point, if Bryce Young gets the right GM and the right coach and everything together, Bryce Young is going to be legit. He's a good player or whatnot.
Right.
So that's 2 right there. You add those 2 to Dak, you add those 2, that's 3, and Jalen, that's 4. And Jared Goff, surprisingly, has been playing really well the last 2 years. I laughed at it when Michael McCarthy brought it up, but he's actually right. Goff has been playing well the last 2 years. So that's 5. Cousins is never going to be like a crazy, legit, like amazing frontline guy. But
Kirk Cousins just is what he is.
He just is what he is, but he'll still upset Buffalo out of nowhere or whatnot.
Yeah.
Or they'll still like sneak into the playoffs and maybe win a game or 2 out of nowhere. And they're in the conversation. So that's 6. That turns in, that's basically a whole, and Derek Carr, who's up and down or whatnot, but can still do what Cousins does, sneak in, beat an undefeated team out of nowhere or beat the Chiefs out of nowhere. You're just like, yo, how did Carr do it? Then you look at Carr's numbers, he's thrown for damn near 5,000 yards and like 35 touchdowns every year. It's just that the Raiders has been terrible. Yeah. So he's like, that gets lost in it. That's 7. I can keep going. Before you even realize it, 2 years from now, we're going to have this conversation at the beginning of a season, like, NFC's loaded. Yeah. And if San Francisco and Brock Purdy turns into legit, or if they trade and sign somebody in free agency or whatnot, they get a legit quarterback that's front of line. That's 8. We're sitting around, Hunger Games. That's what I call the AFC, because the AFC is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And Rodgers just got added to it. Yeah. So you add Rodgers already to Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lawrence, Herbert, Lamar Jackson. That's 6 right there. And then you add Rodgers there, that's 7.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's, you look on the other side and it's just, it's loaded. So this is the time now. If Dallas is going to make a move, this 2-year window, they got to try to win it now, because not to say that they're never going to win it, but it's going to get progressively hard to get out of the NFC once this field really begins to take shape, because every year with competent GMs and competent coaches and competent team building, teams get better. And that gap, those teams you were beating up on 2 years ago, you ain't beating up on them anymore. You're in dogfights.
And if you're a conspiracy theorist, make sure that the officiating isn't going to be as horrible as it's been the last couple of years.
That too. That's a whole show.
That's a whole show for
That's
a
a whole
different time.
show.
But before we close on a little bit, because I feel like we said enough that we needed to say, but
Yeah, for sure.
going back to Hard Knocks really quick, did you see that because of the second episode of Hard Knocks, that the Super Bowl matchup on FanDuel and DraftKings have shot up to everybody choosing the Jets and the 49ers?
Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah, I saw it. I love the confidence, but I personally thought it was ridiculous to bring in a mentalist because
That was funny. That was funny.
It was funny and it was enjoyable for a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like, this is strictly just clown show stuff.
It was partly for the show. At least I think so.
No,
I think it was
but
partly.
I don't think that Woody Johnson or Christopher Johnson, even though I wouldn't be surprised if they're crazy enough to do something like this, because God knows what with them, that they would actually bring a mentalist if they weren't on One Jets Drive or Hard Knocks or whatever. I think they would just be studying film or something like that, or having another fiery Coach Salah speech or whatever. But the whole mentalist thing, yeah, I just feel like that was purely for TV. It was nice to see the reactions and even something as TV fluff, I guess we'll call it. I thought it was really cool just to see Aaron Rodgers just being like cool as a cucumber, that nice Cali swag that he rocks and everything like that. But yeah, I just thought it was silly, but I did find it crazy to see that the Super Bowl odds on like FanDuel and all these other betting apps that everybody's now going for the Jets versus the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Minus all the PTSD and heartache this man has caused me in the playoffs. I used to be, I'm not anymore. I was a huge Aaron Rodgers fan because I'm just like, yo, that guy's good. That guy's freaking, and all the BS he had to deal with coming into the league with all the Favre love. How many Packer fans just hated him just for existing?
Yeah.
And then fast forward about a year or two, oh, Rodgers is our guy. He's
arguably, I personally think that despite if there's some old fans out there that love Bart Starr, that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback in Packers history.
Oh, 100%. I believe he is. The reason why, in like the grand scheme of things, why I won't put him in a GOAT status, because I don't think he's good in the playoffs. That's a big flaw.
That's a big flaw.
He's lost a lot of, not just a lot of playoff games, he's lost a lot of home playoff games.
Yeah.
A lot of, as the number one seed.
Right.
That's a lot.
Isn't it also weird how in Green Bay, he was always complaining or not happy that the fact that, he didn't have enough offensive weapons, but he had a strong O-line. And now it's flipped on the other side in New York, where he has a ton of weapons, but he needs help up front.
Yeah. Now it's watching you guys play. I'm going to watch both of those Buffalo games, and those are going to be fun. Like I don't typically watch Jet games. You guys are on every single freaking week on CBS or KC Fox, but you guys got a lot of national games this year.
We got 6 primetime games this year.
See, the other reason why, and we'll wrap with this, the other reason why Mongo's kind of annoyed with the Hard Knocks stuff, you guys are getting the full cowboy treatment. You're getting all the national games. You guys are on Hard Knocks.
Yeah. I think he's just afraid that it's going to blow up in their face because of past trauma. I get it.
I can tell him firsthand that it probably will.
Yeah. So, can we get Mongo here for episode 3 possibly?
I will do my best to try to, as long as I think if it's a Friday, we talked about if it's a Friday, yeah, I'll work on that on my end. Right. He'd love to do it, man.
If it's a Friday, I'll be there.
Oh, I'll be there too. Yeah. I'll be there too. I'll try my best, but we'll see if we can make it happen. We just recorded on a Friday.
I know,
which is rare.
Yeah.
We typically don't.
Shout out to Chop. Yep.
Shout out to Chop. Shout out to Mongo. Love you guys. That's episode 28. That's a legendary episode. I'll be out probably. We might drop that on opening night, actually.
Ooh.
So
okay.
that's the plan there, tentatively.
All right. Yeah. Ugo, again, another great episode. Episode 2 in the books. Really enjoyed this one. Anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Oh man, check out First Class Second Place as always. Check out the You Go Boy podcast, streaming on all digital platforms. Check out You Go Boy music, of course, u-goboy.com. We got Captain Planet is on the way. That's my newest single. We just shot the video with the Hip Hop Advocates.
Shout out to the Hip Hop Advocates.
Exactly, and A1 Vision, and I Might Snap, the brilliant legendary photographer, produced by the legendary Killer Cake, York, Pennsylvania's own. So new music on the way, new podcast episodes on the way, crossover episodes. We're gonna get you and Carlos on Sports Talk.
Yes,
this
shout out to
season.
Carlos. Yep.
That's gonna be muy caliente, as I say. 3 Jet fans and 1 Cowboy fan. Oh my God, save me! I might have to bring Chop for that to just balance it out.
Man.
Just balance it out.
It's gonna be like the Hall of Fame game.
Oh my God, yeah. That's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be crazy. But that's you have my word. That's absolutely gonna happen this year because we do about 4 regular season Sports Talk episodes at each quarter mark. So every 4 weeks we do an episode to sum up the season. So probably the third or fourth quarter, we'll do that crossover. So that's gonna be fun.
I also got to introduce you to John Jastrzemski, JJ, who was on WFAN for a while. He has his own podcast now in New York. He's good friends of Joe Beningo as well. He's a Dolphin fan, but he's also a Yankee fan. Pure Staten Islander, but he's a great guy. He's great. Yeah, definitely got to introduce you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of Yo New York Sports. Thank you to Ugo. Thank you to Jason Enrique. You can find me at Jason Enrique _ on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that stuff. And check out next time on Yo New York Sports. We out.
Peace.